We'd now like to hear from the CSSA. Joe Nino, please provide your report.
Good morning. It's an honor to be able to address such a prestigious group amongst Chair Day, Chancellor White, Superintendent Thurman, trustees, fellow members of the CSU family, members of the public, and most importantly, it is a privilege and an honor to be here on behalf of the nearly 500,000 students in the CSU. After hearing Chancellor White's State of the California State University and reflecting on the struggles and the many successes in the CSU, we must recognize that there is much to be proud of. It is of great honor to see the efforts of the graduation initiative come to fruition, as we have seen the highest number of graduates in the history of the California State University. As graduation rates are increasing and the achievement gaps are closing, it is needless to say that we are trending in the right direction. But we are not done. There are challenges that still remain ahead of us, and the efforts by all of us must be multiplied. I am confident that our students, faculty, staff, CSU leaders will lead us to yield even more impressive numbers in 2019. Although it was unfortunate to have a discussion about the possibility of a tuition increase after receiving such a large increase in the adopted budget for 2019, I can say with confidence on behalf of CSSA, we are pleased to hear there will not be a tuition increase for the 2019-2020 academic year. We are very appreciative of the pending investment in the CSU proposed in Governor Newsom's budget, as it will mitigate many financial obstacles students face. As Chancellor White so eloquently emphasized bold leadership, we appreciate the commitment to California's success through the investment in the California State University. With the review of 2018 and all of the challenges and successes, it also led me to do some reflecting of my own. As a first-year graduate student, I've had my fair share of successes and faced what I believed at the time to be insurmountable adversity. After many attempts to begin my educational journey out of high school, I was plagued with health issues that often led me to drop out due to poor attendance and academic performance. As a first-generation student, finding the starting point in my education was a tall task and much too great for me to handle at that moment while juggling work, paying for rent, and unsubsidized medication costs. Fast forward a few years later, after finding some success with my health status, I was resilient in pursuing my degree. Still unsure of the correct path to take, I dove in anyways and enrolled at Cerritos College. Of course, I enrolled in courses that I did not need, changed my major, and still struggled to balance being a full-time student and a full-time employee. I was happy to hear yesterday about the progress that ADT has made because, well, I was one of those students. I contemplated between transferring with an AAT or an AA. Ultimately, the fear of not being able to change my major once I transferred led me to choose the latter. Nevertheless, I transferred to Cal State Long Beach. Nevertheless, I changed my major a year later. The rigor of the four-year experience challenged me in many ways. I had to choose between work and school on many occasions. School prevailed. I was receiving the Pell Grant and the Cal Grant, but after solely focusing on my education, I was still struggling to make ends meet. There were many semesters that I just couldn't afford the textbooks, and some when I had to choose between buying the books and regularly skipping meals. Although the financial aid helped with the tuition and other costs, it was still not enough. I learned to utilize resources on campus like food pantries. I stacked all of my classes in one day so I could reduce transportation costs. Stayed in the library hours on end, using their textbooks so I didn't have to buy my own. This was the life of one non-traditional, first-generation, Pell recipient, community college transfer, CSU student. I'm honored to speak before you now as a former ASI president, current CSSA chair, cum laude graduate, and a current graduate student. But this brief story, it's not unique. This is one of many students who share similar but often more challenging stories. I'm happy to hear the level of importance that the CSU has placed on affordable and accessible education. The student leaders across the state of California and the Student Senate for California Community Colleges, University of California Student Association, and the Cal State Student Association have joined forces as a coalition to address these same issues associated with affordability and accessibility in higher education. With the current financial aid support systems in place, many students are still left without their most basic needs being met. Taken from a joint statement of the SSCCC, UCSA, and CSSA, our United Public Higher Education Student Coalition needs the governor and our legislators to significantly invest and reform our broken financial aid system that still does too little for our neediest students at a time when the cost to live in California is so high. As the legislative cycle commences, we will jointly be directing our advocacy efforts to call on the governor and statewide lawmakers to invest in basic needs for all students, not just CSU and UC students, to address the full cost of attendance for low-income students, not just tuition, enable more students to receive state aid, and allow more flexibility in students who wish to graduate quicker by utilizing summer courses. As we have previously mentioned, the CSSA Board of Directors identified 3 key areas to inform our pursuit of forward-thinking higher education policies and strategies. As a whole, ensuring an affordable, equitable, and holistic educational experience that promotes student success and well-being, and this is our priority for our students. Our priorities advocate for equitable solutions that have previously been shared. Enable access to housing, food, and wellness resources that promote overall student health and safety. Number 2, ensure the CSU is accessible, affordable, and sustainable. Number 3, ensure the academic success and holistic educational experience of all CSU students. The organizational values of educational equity, servant leadership, and stewardship have guided the cultivation of these priorities, and we are confident that our advocacy efforts aimed to reform financial aid are a translation of these needs, not only of the CSU students, but all students in higher education in California. Well, I invite you to join our efforts with hope that we can work collaboratively to advocate for the holistic success and financial stability of our neediest students. Chair Day, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Joe. Excellent report.